Hey, welcome to the Tim and Gugabe podcast. This is your host, Tim. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're not too far away from 1,000 subscribers. I think like 20 more. So that's kind of cool. Gugabe, how are you doing? Do you have a mic now?
Hypothetically.
It sounds a little better. I mean, I don't even care. I don't even notice it that much, but everyone yells about it all the time. So, and I'm just like, chill out, we're not taking ourselves too seriously here, but I did fight for those people and told you to get a mic, so whatever. But we missed last week. It's the first event we missed in a while. It was my fault. I was just busy with like some things. But we can briefly recap 299 and then a little bit on that last card, but we won't go too deep into both of them. And then we'll talk about Ribas and Rose. But O'Malley looked good. I mean, he looked good.
I mean, he did, but also I feel like there are universes where Rob Font puts a 50-44 on Vera. It's like with Vera, he's just one of those guys when he hits the pivot or he doesn't hit the pivot kind of a thing. Like, yeah, he pretty much finished the fight. Like, 20 seconds left in the fight and he finally lands his big shot kind of a thing. If he lands that end of round 3 or something, he could have easily gone the way of like, Vera Font. Like, my view is that I agree, Mally looked very good, but it's like Vera loses minutes anyway, and he's one of those guys who's going to eventually find his pivot kind of a thing. Like, I don't know. I just feel like good on him, mate. Good on O'Malley, but Vera's just stupid like that. Like, he's got like a small % chance in any given moment of landing critical hit, and trying to hindsight tries him a bit. It's a little bit tricky.
For what O'Malley had to do, he did a great job. And to be real, he did it easier than Sandhagen did. Like,
yeah, I agree with that.
Like consistently hurting Vera. It wasn't like a thing where he was just like out voluming him. He was out voluming him, and he was just beating the shit out of him. I thought it was a great performance. Like, I do agree, his skills are there, so when he wins a fight, it's gonna look like that, But I thought he did a great job, and he's just really hard to hit.
I still think I still think the fragility and the physical integrity issues are still kind of a thing. Like, even then, like, he broke pretty much every bone in his body holding Vera kind of a thing. I don't know. I think O'Malley's good at this game. It's just durability just still fucks with me a bit, like a grappling. Like, Vera was kind of perfect for him, like in a lot of ways. And
yeah. I think his durability gets too much shit. I think O'Malley's very tough. Like, I don't think he gets enough credit for being like classically tough. I mean, he's been in a lot of fights now, and it's not like has he ever been dropped? I don't think so. Jan hurt him, but he didn't drop him. Like, if you rewatch it, he like hurt him and stumbled him and then kind of like landed to take a takedown off that. But it's just like, I don't know, his ankle or like leg messed up twice. Other than that, I would say his durability is a strength, if any, and he's really hard to hit too. I think he's a tough guy. He has good cardio too. Like, I like O'Malley. I mean, he's an elite striker, and we have an elite grappler going against him next. I think he's going to have to knock Merab out, or else I don't think he's going to win. But I think he has the best chance to knock Merab out of anyone. Like, I'm not going to pick it to happen, but I do think like if someone knocks Merab out, it'll probably be O'Malley. But anyway, Dustin Poirier, BSD. I've given Poirier a lot of shit, I think rightfully, for a while. But in this matchup, even when we were talking about it, I was just like, I just feel like I picked BSD straight, but I was going back and forth. And I was even texting a couple of my buddies. Like, I was like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like if they just, for whatever reason, have extended boxing exchanges, and I think I talked about it on the pod, I was like, Poirier might just kill him. And he, that happened. And also BSD, it's not like he's going out there and marabbing people for 5 rounds. It's like he's bowling them and finishing them. And I was like, Dustin Poirier has an amazing gas tank. So if he can just survive, there's a chance BSD's storm just kind of like fades a little bit. So I don't know. Like, I still think like BSD could have won that fight. Like, he had good positions. He hurt Poirier, I think, a couple times, or at least bothered him. But I have to give Dustin props. Like, he fought well and stayed composed in some of the grappling exchanges. I actually thought a lot of people were giving him shit for the guillotine, but I actually thought it almost because his traditional takedown defense isn't that good. I actually thought it was a good way to like keep BSD off him and like abort some of the takedowns against the cage. So actually, it was a good performance by him. But what do you think?
I thought BSD looked a little bit like I genuinely think BSD was sort of right. Well, yeah, how BSD was like I was on antibiotics. I wasn't like as physical as I was. I did feel like BSD did look a little bit flat by BSD standards.
Agreed. I can agree.
Yeah. Again, I had some Poirier. I took Poirier plus 220 at the very end. I'm just not sure that like Dustin Poirier was value, to be honest. Like he gave up like what, 2 back takes, mount, and like it wasn't like BSD like did Poirier caught him and killed him, but it wasn't like BSD had like 2 minutes of like struggling to hit takedowns and really slowing down kind of thing. It was just like, oh, Dustin Poirier got up, then BSD sort of instantly died, kind of a thing, which is just like, I don't know. Like, I was quite a bit larger on Frivola, and after watching it, I'm just kind of like, I felt the Frivola fight was equivalently kind of like, he had a big head kick circling out kind of a thing, and I trust Frivola's takedown defense a lot more than I do Poirier's. I had Poirier get a submission too, so it was very annoying that I didn't get my +1. And my view was just like, you got plus like 1,300 on the guy who's going to jump like 5% guillotines. Like mathematically, that has to be the side. I just don't have that strong an opinion on how the fight played out. Like, honestly, Blaydes gelled and similar to me. Where it's like I can see how he can make the argument that they sort of outlasted the guy who was pressuring them, but also the pivot was so fast. It's hard to really say like, oh, he definitely ran out of gas.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I think it's also there's something going on in your background noise, by the way. But I think also it's tough because we like BSG. I just assumed he had like elite cardio, but we haven't actually seen him fight. Like usually he just finishes everyone within a round and a half, and he breaks them to the pace. But it's not like he's breaking guys for 25 minutes, you know. Like and Dustin Poirier has elite cardio. He always has, and so that's like. I think it just depends on like, can BSD push that pace? And that would depend whether or not like who is value. But like, honestly, he hasn't shown to really do that. I mean, the one time was against Zaleski, but it was short notice a long time ago. And that was extended. And he kind of did get the shit kicked out of him late. But I'm going to tend to say he can't keep up that pace for 25 minutes because it would just be insane. Like, only Merab has ever been able to do that, and Merab's like a lighter, smaller guy. So I'm gonna guess he can't do that. Like I still think he could like keep up a pretty good pace, but against a guy like Poirier, I think it would just be tough when you're gonna get resisted the whole time. But I think we need to like see more of him, honestly, in like later fights to know, because I don't really know. But he it was when I was watching the fight. Even like going into round 2, I was like, man, anytime he comes in a boxing range, I feel like he's going to get clipped, you know? So it was a little weird. But again, who knows? Like BSD could have got an early finish, and then maybe I would have had a different opinion. So I don't like looking at one version of the fight, and he did apparently have stuff. So Paige Holland, Paige just, I don't know. I don't have much to say. Maddalena Burns, I picked Maddalena, but I said I thought Burns was value, and I think he probably was. But it's still kind of it's still going to be like one of those wild fights, you know, every time. Maddalena's weird because he's not a good defensive grappler, but he's good enough to like prove some people wrong. Like people think he's just a fish, and he's not. But he isn't perfect either, so he can get put in bad spots, but he still can resist enough to like give himself his opportunities. I mean, you can't roll your eyes at that. Like he does that. Like he in every fight. Like yes, he's been out grappling spots, but then he'll like reverse and find his openings. You know, he's not terrible on the mat. He's just not great.
I mean, yes, but also the way he gets out of stuff is very like I'm just gonna channel this single moment of explosiveness kind of a thing, and it just feels like how did he get up against Burns here? He did like a fucking spinneroni in like round 3. Like he just sort of just kicked himself off the cage and just awkwardly spazzed away. Like that kind of shit does get you in trouble more. I just feel Della has caught fire. It's just like it makes no sense, but God bless him. Like Burns probably minus 200 here. Like Della wasn't running away with the striking. Burns could get takedowns throughout the whole thing. Like, Burns was 2-0 at the time of the KO on like I think 2 scorecards, so like he was about to win most likely. Burns looked awful. Della is okay, but just I don't know. I just felt Della's he just had this sort of run where it's just things have gone his way more often than not. Like I think some of his earlier fights now aging a bit weirder because it's now apparent he's not some massive hitter. Like him killing Amiv and killing Brown instantly on the first success is probably not indicative. Like I think Della's a good KO guy, but I don't think he's like some guy who's just like this Nagano-esque hitter where he lands once and the fight's just over. Like Amiv and Brown make him look like that. I mean, MMA's a volatile sport. Della was okay. God bless him.
Yeah.
It's also funny that Erceg is like Perth is a small city in Western Australia, and Steve Erceg's also from there. It's funny that Della actually got beats the Patalos fight by like another random guy from the same city. Just Della has this insane run up the sport, but Steve Erceg just like fuck you. I'm having the random Perth title shot. Like, no. Yeah. God bless Perth.
Jan and Yadong. I liked Jan a little bit here. It's always tough in 3-rounders with him because he can give them away. But the way I saw it was like, I didn't think it was for sure Yadong won round 1. And he ended up. And I was like, I think Jan had a greater chance of winning round 3 than 1. And then in round 2, I also think he has whenever it's like this type of fight where like a builder and who has a cardio edge, even though like you can worry about round 1, I think you can favor round 3 heavier for them. And also round 2, I think you have to favor because the end of a round means so much. And like that second half of the fight in round 2, I thought would like lean Jan too. Like I thought he would start building, and he did. He's better than Yadong. In a 5-rounder, he wins that pretty clean, I would say. Jan's really good. Like I kind of was against him and gave him shit for a while, and then the market turned on him because like the fact he would have been minus 300 against Yadong 2 years ago easily. He would have been minus 300. And then all of a sudden he's like even money. There was late action on him, so people like ended up going. But I liked Jan there, and fight kind of played out how I expected. He's just a little better of a boxer, a little bit better of a grappler. He got off to an early start, but I do think his like insane. I think his like physicality and athleticism has dropped a gear though. Like I think him a few years ago was a little better. Like he was a little more ruthless, but he's still a very, very good fighter. But I think he's kind of falling away from his prime a little bit. Like, did you feel that way? Like, I feel like just some of his like spring and his athleticism's a little bit gone.
I took some live Jan after a round because I was just like, oh, Jan is plus 200. That's usually a good spot after round 1. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I thought the separation here was honestly just that Jan can grapple. Like, again, even coming into the fight, I was like, all right, it's a pretty competitive striking match, but one guy has all the takedown upside. And in the close, like, he won both round 2 and round 3 off the late takedowns. Like, the striking was perfectly competitive.
He did, but I do think he didn't pull away in the striking, but I do think he was getting the better of the striking. Like, the combinations to the body. I still think if he was on the feet, he probably would have won those 2 rounds, but the grappling, like, solidified it, you know?
Yeah, but like it was like a 55-45 kind of striking round. Then the takedown sort of made it very clear.
Clean round, But
that was my view. Which is I feel like any sort of fight like that where one guy has all the grappling equity and an otherwise 50-50 striking match, you kind of got to take him just because takedowns are so high consequence in the sport. I think Jan's losing a step. Yadong was kind of weird because I feel like Yadong's gotten a little bit unlucky whenever he takes that sort of step up. Like, he's had a bunch of very, very close fights. Even Saint-Denis, he got stopped, but that was because the cut just opened up and he just seemed to kind of get fucked. Like, he was getting Saint-Denis issues with his physicality. His face just came off. I think it was
tied going into round 5.
And his face just came off. You can't blame him for that. I think Yadong's gotten a little bit unlucky in his run, but what are you going to do? Good, decent fight. I think Jan's still a little bit past him. Could always put it back together.
Yeah, I'm gonna skate through the next ones a little bit. Blaydes, Almeida, whatever. It was kind of. I do think Almeida probably wouldn't have gone well for him late, regardless. But it was a random sequence, like when it happened.
I agree, but like it would have been nice if he like slowed down and gassed, and like you definitely like saw him gassing. I was like.
Yeah.
Well, he starts round 2 and he gets right in the hips pretty easily. So it's like maybe he was about to land another 10 mat returns. Like, you never know. I don't think he was going to, but I think
during round 1, even after like Almeida won that first round, I was kind of like, I think Blaydes is going to get him, but I didn't think he'd elbow him at the next 30 seconds, like in that sequence. But I was like, I was leaning Blaydes at that point, but it was pretty random sequence. I do think I would pick Blaydes in a rerun just because he shows he cannot get stuck there. Like, he was doing the right things. Like, he was working up, he was defending the back takes well and whatnot. Barber just kind of clinched up Chookagian, whatever.
Barber wins fights, just stupid physical specimen. Like,
yeah, big time physical specimen.
Do we care about the rest of the card? I think
not really. I'll just Gamrot out wrestled RDA. Kyler Phillips, Munoz has no defense. Some other stuff. I picked Calderwood for the upset, or Joanne Wood, so I was kind of happy to see her go out on a win. I didn't watch the fight though.
It was kind of weird. Like, Morose took her down very easily round 1. Then like Calderwood won round 2 and round 3, off big moments in the last 30 seconds of both rounds of the fight. I don't think the money line was super off, just because I feel like Morose's takedown upside just means that whenever she hits a takedown, she just wins that round, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
That's a big deal in MMA, in my opinion. Because the striking was actually pretty much 50-50. Both round 2 and round 3, Calderwood just kind of pulled ahead a little bit at the very end, but the minutes were very competitive.
For the Tabora Tuivasa card, I had one bet in this, so I played McKenna and she rolled right into an armbar. But I picked 3 dogs. I picked Tabora, who was kind of a dog, but not really. I picked Rodriguez, and then I picked who was it? Chandler and Silva, Danny Silva. So it's kind of whatever. So I did well from picking, but it didn't matter because I didn't bet any of it. But Tabora just is a better grappler than Tuivasa. Over St. Preux, that was funny. He just decided to throw a shitload of strike. Kennedy looked kind of awful, but Oven St. Preux, he looked drunk and tired, but he was just keeping up the pace. It was a really weird fight.
I also think on the edge, he just didn't pull the trigger until round 3. I still think if he just started doing things a little bit earlier, he probably wins that fight consistently.
Yeah.
I saw you had to take that Angelusa got taken directly to the emergency room where he's fighting for life from. My take on that is that I actually Angelusa quit. I had Angelusa. He 100% quit. But I think from a sort of sport thing, it's good that the fighters get intelligent enough to start putting their hand up and saying, wait, I don't have to get fucked up for no reason here.
But you're making my argument for me. So what I tweeted is there has to be a rule in place to prevent it, and it's because you are getting smart enough to game the system. That's why you have to have a rule. So you're making my argument for me.
I agree, but it's just tricky because what are you going to do? If you move a technical decision from end of round 2 to end of round 1, it just means that, I don't know, Alexander Romanov becomes champion because he wins every first round and he just cops the eye poke and it's just I can no longer continue. I mean, I'd rather have that situation than the current if it was a situation where the tech deck fired earlier, I think at least that would make more sense. It would be all right, at least the guy had to win round 1 to pull this off, whilst this current situation is just stupid.
I think you could get.
What are you going to do?
You could get people in it because what's currently happening is not working. It's making people who should win fights lose their bonus, get screwed over, and it's terrible. And it's happened a lot in the last year, like ridiculously. Like the Brundage one against Malkoon was ridiculous.
That was DQ. That wasn't NC.
Well, same difference. Okay.
Yeah, I got what you mean.
Yeah. But some of the no contests have been terrible. And I just feel like you can get people in a room. Maybe I can't come up with the perfect solution right now. You can get people in a room to come up with a better one. I don't think any system is going to be perfect. But I think one of them could just be if half the fight is completed and they score the round and the partial round and you are down unanimously or something, then I think it shouldn't be a no contest. But I don't know, it could be something like that or whatever. If someone has a unanimous win, then I think they should just give them the win. Or just use it like, especially if it's the first foul. I think if it's like the first foul and someone takes a no contest, then if there's like 2 or 3 fouls, then I think there's like more reason for someone to like justify not wanting to continue. Like you can, but also like refs discretion. We have refs like decide shit all the time. Like I think like it could get hairy, but I feel like most people who are smart could look at that and just be like, I think you have the ability to defend yourself, but you're not. Like, I don't know. Like, I'd rather that. But I mean, you could have people make really dumb decisions, but you're already having people like bad decisions happen already with what's happening. So I don't know. Something could happen. If you have any ideas in the comments, let us know.
I mean, the technical decision as is does actually mean that, like, after I think like halfway, it does go to the technical decision.
It should be that. It should just be that. Yeah.
I mean, and also the issue is, at the end of the day, the UFC is a professional organization. It's going to cop lawsuits, and if the ref says to a guy, "I don't think you can," you told me you want to stop fighting, and I don't think you should stop fighting.
Yeah.
And then that guy gets like brutally knocked out. Like that's like bloody elbow revives itself from the abyss, and we get just like 10,000 posts about Dana White individually kills poor Swiss gun-eye and immigrant Andalusia kind of a thing. Like,
okay, maybe that's not the option, but honestly, I think if a round's completed, like if there's over a round, you judge that and the partial second round and just go to a technical decision. Like especially if someone quits on the first foul. Like I think if it's first foul and it's unintentional, I think you have to do that because it's gonna like force people. They're gonna be like, oh, I could lose the decision here. I'm gonna keep fighting, or I don't know. I just feel like something like that.
I mean, we have seen it go the other way.
The other way, right? Like someone could and get fouled and be like, "I'm good. I can't continue," and that they know they're going to win. So it's tough. I do agree.
Remember Romanov versus Spino?
Oh yeah, because that was like the one time it was like worked the other way, but generally the people losing quit.
Yeah. Yeah, because Romanov was like starting to go to pieces. Is Spino formally retired yet? I feel like I saw something.
Yeah.
Wasn't bad.
He would have tapped Tuivasa inside 2 minutes.
I mean, who amongst us could not tap Tuivasa inside 2 minutes? Like, come on.
That's a good comment here.
Yeah. Honestly, like, Terence McKinney could do that. Like, if the technical decision thing got pushed forward, like Romanov or Terence McKinney, if they wanted, like, it's not that hard to get fouled in MMA. Just like eye pokes happen, big kicks happen. Particularly if the guy who's receiving it just goes like, "Oh, I was hurt," kind of a thing.
Yeah,
if you could legit just win a round, then just go and then just pretend that like anything that touches you was an eye poke, and bang, you win the tech deck.
We're spending too much time on this, but right now I think we all agree this current system is not working, and it's unjust. But it is hard to kind of create that because there's so much subjectivity, and it's hard to like define intent as well. Rodriguez Dulgarian. I picked Rodriguez to win. Dulgarian, I remember loving against Marshall. He went out there and kind of did what he did. But I tweeted out before the event, I thought this was a much tougher matchup for Dulgarian. Like Rodriguez is made to resist and neutralize, and like he can fight for 15 minutes. And the way the fight played out, I honestly thought both guys looked good. Like Dulgarian, I don't even think his cardio is that bad. I just think Rodriguez resisted so well, and most people wouldn't be able to. Like Dulgarian would just run through the most of the division doing that. In my opinion, I thought both guys looked good. The version of the fight kind of played out where I thought Dulgarian would have success early, and then more often than not, it's hard to like grapple a guy as good as Rodriguez for 15 minutes. I thought like he could fall apart, which kind of happened, but he still stayed tough. And I think Rodriguez was value, but I do think Dulgarian should have won that fight. Like I got, I'll tell you something in a second. You're going to laugh. Round 1, 10-8, Dulgarian. Round 3, 10-8, Rodriguez. And then I thought Dulgarian won round 2. Yeah. They landed 18 and 15 strikes. So it wasn't, and everyone talked about Rodriguez, all this damage, but Dulgarian even landed a leg kick that knocked Rodriguez out. Like I didn't think either guy like separated on damage, and then one guy had 4 minutes of control. I feel like you have to go Dulgarian, but I got blocked on Twitter by that Bronstetter guy who like talks down on everybody and judging. I don't even think the guy's a bad guy, but when it comes to like he thinks he's the only one who has read the rules, and like you'll be arguing with him and he'll be like, that's not the criteria, and he'll just act as if like he's the only one who knows the criteria and he's the only one who can come to the correct interpretation. And it's kind of annoying because in round 2 it's very reasonable to say like neither guy landed in that much damage and the guy with the control ended up winning, and like Dulgarian still landed like a hard leg kick. I thought it was just a close round. I like to act like it was easy Rodriguez or was kind of weird. What did you think? How did you score it?
I agree. I scored with Dulgarian. I honestly passed pretty far. I had a tiny bit of Rodriguez round 3. Yeah, Dulgarian actually impressed me a lot more than I was kind of like I was pretty. Yeah, like Dulgarian could beat a lot of great guys right now. Rodriguez is probably one of the harder like fights in the division for like stylistically. Like there are a lot of guys who don't have that sort of defensive toughness and motor kind of a thing. Like Rodriguez is a pretty damn good counter grappler or keep pushing kind of a thing. So
and not only he's always working up. This is a thing with like wrestling. Like, you know, I've been wrestling for a while, and like when you notice guys who are always working up and you have to keep mat returning them, that's why Dulgarian gassed. Against other guys, Dulgarian's cardio is going to look really good because he's going to be able to lay in guard, kind of do his own thing on top and not have to just keep mat returning and holding position. Like when you're just being able to chill in someone's guard more, like you're not going to gas out. And I think most people wouldn't even be able to work up on Dulgarian. He's too good of a grappler.
Yep. I'd take Dulgarian as like Barboza or some shit right now, to be honest. Like there are like ranked featherweights, so I would take Dulgarian over like tomorrow.
He beats Barboza pretty easily, in my opinion.
Ego, Murphy, like Caceres, there's a bunch of them who I just feel like, Murphy needed the miracle flying knee to beat what's his name? Amir Khan. So I take Dulgarian against like a bunch of ranked featherweights right now. He impressed me. I had the under and chest on Kanzab pretty big. That was good.
All right, we've been recapping for way too long. Yep. So GM3 kind of actually did a good job of not being insane. Or like, Mike Davis, good performance by him, showed some grappling. Chandler, that was a weird fight. Filia, I almost played Filia over Osborne and didn't. Silva, I picked him to win. That was a close fight, though. It was weird because he started doing takedowns, which you wouldn't have really expected all that much. Amareem sub McKenna because McKenna just was so stupid. That pissed me off. Moises, good performance, and Hellinger had better cardio. Okay. Let's get into Ribas and Namajunas. I saw your tweet, so I'm guessing you're all over Ribas here for the dog.
I mean, the line movement's been a little bit spooky, so I haven't pulled the trigger too hard just because I'm not sure why Rose took. I think Dulgarian's better prospect than what's his name, Georgian heavyweight champion. There we go. No, legit. Compared the Zalal fight to that fight, I see that as a lot more impressive. Remember, Poirier's UFC debut, he did gas hard against a guy who was just a durability sponge kind of thing. It does happen.
We'll be talking about Zalal later, too.
Yeah. I just think, I've never been high on Rose. She's a women's MMA fighter who never wins, a clear decision, and it's a 5-rounder. So unless you think she's going to knock Rebas out, I just don't see how he gets this kind of a price. If it goes the distance, Rebas probably, triples her up, and I think, a consolidated Rebas takedown here is probably Rose just completely shitting herself. I just don't think she just likes being on bottom. She'll go for a stupid flying triangle or something, then just go from there. I think Rebas outworks her standing. It's possible Rose sort of slows it down to a Rose fight, but even then, it's Rose is not judge-friendly. She just forces a 50-50 with everybody. And, unless Rose is knocking her out, how the fuck do you get to Master 50 Rose? It's women's MMA, and you're betting on, a KO 1-2? Really?
Yeah, I agree. It's dog or pass. I picked Rose just because I do think she's going to land some big shots early, and I
agree, but I just it is women's MMA. It's just I think every other she's probably going to land some big counters, but are you really that? It's women's strawweight. You're betting on a woman who needs to carry the cover, and it's Rose hits hard, but she's not barber physical and I don't know. I think Moreno is just as dangerous as Rose, kind of a thing.
I think it's more like Rose hits kind of hard, not insane, but she hits decently hard. But it's also Rebas is just like really hittable, and she doesn't respond to strikes that well. I mean, she doesn't. In her last fight against Pinheiro or whatever, she was getting teed off on. Like Rose will surely land some big shots early, and like that's why I think Rebas alive would maybe be smarter, because I do think if Rebas loses, she probably gets knocked out in the first 2 rounds. You know.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's just women's MMA. You really got to take that. I see more. I see a pathway to like if Ribas just gets like top position after like 6 minutes, and Rose just folds. Like I could see versions of this where Ribas just completely shits on Rose. Yes,
this is women's flyweight. Yeah.
Like, Rose is like a good neutralizer. Rose is good at making people kind of fight a 50-50 fight, but I just don't like. Where is the upside? Like, unless Rose is knocking her out, how do you see this fight going? I feel Rose was hindsight 80%. Like, how? It's just not like even like every decision goes to a split for her.
If this goes to a decision, you got to be nervous for Rose, and that's why you can't play her at this line, in my opinion. But I do think this is like classic volume versus technical neutralizer type of thing, where like Rose doesn't always land all these strikes, but I do think she can like limit how often someone lands on her, and she'll be landing the harder shots. So I could see her winning a decision here a little more than people think, but I'm just saying, like, I still wouldn't want to beat on her if it goes to the card. It's like at all. I'm just saying I don't think it's like KO or bust though at all.
I mean, I agree, but I think it's KO or bust when it comes to winning like this kind of price. Like, I don't know. I just see far more takes. I just see far more. And also, I think Rose's bottom game is like a serious issue.
Yeah,
she just doesn't have get ups, and she does stupid stuff off her back. And like, I don't like playing into like extracurricular stuff off the mat kind of stuff. But like, Rose is a massive flake and does keep threatening to retire. Like, you really want to take that against like this pace merchant?
Yeah, I feel you. Next, sorry, what was the next one?
Williams, Tafa.
Carl Williams and Justin Tafa. Go ahead.
Williams can hit a takedown. Tafa does not seem to own a bottom game. I took like this. This is a rare instance. I took minus 180 on Williams because I just feel like the takedown. Like, I think Tafa is like uniquely terrible off his back, and Williams is competent. I think Williams, like, not spectacular fighter, but I think he'll keep winning at heavyweight just to get takedowns. Not much more complicated than that.
Yeah, fair enough. I want to take that a little bit, but I surface level have the same opinions. It's like Tafa hasn't really gone against a grappler yet. Has he even been taken down yet in the UFC? I don't think so.
Not in the UFC, I don't believe.
On the regionals, there was like,
that one's awful.
It was really bad. But again, it was a long time ago. It was like 5 years ago. So relying on that, if he rocks up with takedown defense, it could be scary. But he hasn't given up a takedown yet, but he hasn't fought anyone who can land a takedown. Carl Williams can grapple a little bit, you know.
I mean, Juan Adams could have landed the takedown. He just decided he was going to kickbox that day. Like, Juan Adams had all the abilities to grapple, and he just refused. Yeah. He just decided not to. God bless.
Yeah. Moving on to Edmund Shabazian and AJ Dobson, I think this line's off. I picked Dobson to win. Dobson's weird because I feel like I picked Tafan to beat him, and I think a reason I got tricked was Dobson went against 2 specialists, Malkoun, who just out-grappled him, and it's like, okay, Malkoun does that to 90% of the division, and Dobson resisted for a round, like somewhat okay. He defended 10 of 16 takedowns. It's just like, okay, Malkoun's just going to Malkoun you. And then he fought a striking specialist in Petrosian. So it's like he fought 2 elite guys in their areas, so he kind of looked bad, but he's still like he's a good athlete. He hits hard. He's an all right striker and an all right grappler. And so against Tafan, he kind of showed like, hey, I can strike a little bit. I can grapple a little bit. And he showed he could fight for 15 minutes decently. And I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like if this goes 15 minutes, I favor Dobson. I favor him down the stretch a little more. Also, like, Edmund's really bad off his back. And if Dobson gets on top of him, especially late, like, Edmund's a fish. And I also think, like, Dobson's tougher. Like, Edmund just kind of can quit and whatnot. So, I think the line's off. I'm just going to say that the only thing that I don't love, like where I would be more comfortable picking Dobson here, I'm still going to pick him, is he doesn't push a huge pace. You know, like he landed 60 something significant strikes and 2 takedowns against Stefan. And if he fights at a slower pace, that allows Edmund to stay in the fight for 15 minutes, you know? And so like that gassing ability may not be there. So that's, but if Dobson just decides to go after him, I think he's going to win the fight. And even if he doesn't, he still might win. He might. And I just don't think Edmund's very good. Like I've also done really well picking against Edmund, like multiple times. I think we notoriously were like, why is Brunson the underdog? He was like plus 400 against Edmund. And yeah, I'm going to go Dobson here. He actually surprised me a little bit against Stefan. I thought it was a decent performance. He's a good athlete. He doesn't look like a guy who's going to get finished early all that often either. And like, that's usually how Edmund wins. And I probably favor him in an extended fight. I just wish he pushed a higher pace, but this line's wrong. I see no reason minus 185 on Edmund when I don't even think I favor him in an extended fight. And I don't even know how much more dangerous he is in Dobson early on in fights. What do you think?
I'm probably a little bit less high on Dobson than you are, but also I just feel like Edmund against anybody, it's like, unless his KO1 is like plus 150, it's like the cardio is such a massive liability there. It's just, how can you favor him?
I'm not even high on Dobson. I'm just not high on Edmund. That's what it is. I think Dobson is just kind of like an okay fighter, and that's and I think an okay fighter who can fight for 15 minutes can probably beat Edmund.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I took Tafon against him as well because I thought like Tafon, like the mirage of some of his performances up away where he had like insane tempo and that kind of stuff. Dobson impressed me against Tafon. He seemed like he's like, I don't think he's anything incredible, but he's a good athlete. He seems to have like a broad understanding of MMA. He pushes the pace. He seems to have the right ideas fight IQ wise. Like, I'm happy to take pretty much any warm body against Edmund. I'll probably wait till like after round 1 to pull the trigger fully, but even there, it's not like Edmund's round 1 to some like brutal. It's not like Edmund dominates people in round 1 these days. That much. He just kind of does the sort of mid-range karate things. He puts 20 strikes on something, then he just falls off the cliff. Like, there's really not much to like about Edmund. Like, it's weird he gasses as hard as he does, but like, he doesn't actually do that much. He just seems to have this thing where the second he gets adversity,
it's genetics. Like, some people just genetically have a bad gas tank. Like, I've been in wrestling rooms with people who get blackout drunk, on weekends. They show up on Monday and they have an insane gas tank. I've seen guys who eat perfectly, train harder than anyone, and they just gas out. You can work for cardio for sure, and you can lose cardio for sure. But I also think like two people, there's some people who just can't always improve their cardio all that much. There's a ceiling on it. And I think there's some people like Edmund who are like that. I think like Christos Giagos just doesn't have a natural good gas tank. Like I don't think he's like not working hard, honestly. But yeah.
I mean, I agree, but most of the time, like these cardio guys, it's because their round 1s tend to be then like redlining, whilst Edmund just doesn't do that much. Like Edmund just has like a 20 strike like karate pace, and he just decides his soul's leaving his body. I'll probably take live bet, but I think like with Edmund's cardio hole, like Dobson is considered, Dobson's competent, will mix the marshals upon him, and should exist in this direction for 15 minutes. And you've got to kind of take plus 160 against like Edmund round 3. I favour Edmund to win round 1, but I don't think Edmund's gonna like sprint away over round 1.
That's why live betting may not be a good call here, because I don't know if he just easily wins round 1, and even if he like wins it. Even if he wins it,
he's not going to 1080 him.
Not pulling away. Money might just come in on Dobson because it probably will. If it's a competitive round, I think money's going to come in on Dobson anyway.
I agree.
So I don't know if you want to do that. Anyway, Peyton Talbot and Cameron Simon.
Why is this line flipped?
I just researched it this morning.
I think line should be flipped. I think Simon's a little bit more proven. Like, they're both kind of silly noodles, but like I think Simon, like they're both trying to do essentially the same thing. I think Simon's grappling is a little bit better. Like, I think Simon's a bit more likely to end up on top. I think Simon's like durability and pace pushing is a bit more proven. Like I've seen him do it to better guys. Yeah, like Peyton Talbot's fine, but I feel like people are just looking at me, oh, that's O'Malley. And it's like, O'Malley exists, but just because O'Malley exists doesn't mean that everybody looks like him is O'Malley. Like, I think this is very much a mirror match. I just think Simon mixes the marshals a little bit deeper, and I just trust him, his physicality a little bit more, personally. Yeah, so I've taken some Simon at like plus 130 because I think the line should be. I slightly favour Simon, but yeah, should be fun. What's your take?
I originally was leaning Simon, then once I taped, I think it's close, and I picked Talbot. Simon's more proven, so like there is that upside.
Yeah, it's lower ceiling, higher floor.
Yes, like he is more proven, and like Talbot hasn't fought all that many good guys, and Simon's fought some decent competition. So like that could just show up here, and so that's why I'm not advising a play on Talbot at all, but I kind of think I kind of think Talbot's a better striker with his volume, and I think he's a little bigger too. And I think if it stays on the feet, I'm not saying he like dominates, but he's a little more aggressive, and I actually favor him. I like his overall pace a little more, and I think he mixes it up with his like long strikes a little better. But the thing is, Simon's the best striker he's faced and the best grappler. Like literally. Yeah. Because Simon can like do it all a little bit. He just doesn't thrive in a particular area. But on the feet, so that like at any point, this whole like proven Simon against the unproven Talbot could show up. But just like my gut, I think on the feet, I think Talbot's going to be the better striker. But I just and I think if someone runs away with the striking, I think it's going to be Talbot personally, because I think he could like gas pedal him a little bit. On the mat, Simon's a better grappler, especially from a technical perspective, but he only attempts 3 takedowns per 15 minutes. And Talbot, he gives up his back and pops up a little better than people give him credit for. And Simon, I haven't seen him tenaciously go to mat returns. I think there's going to be a point where Talbot gets out grappled. And I'm always waiting for like those opportunities, you know. And I think like with Maddalena, I generally have like I think he can kind of resist enough, and I see that here too. I think Talbot can kind of resist enough. I think someone who's going to dominate him, or someone who has a good mat returning game, and I haven't seen that enough against Simon. Like he'll strike a little bit, and he won't tenaciously go to grappling. I do think like though if he gets a takedown, he can take the back and he can threaten. So like he can win this fight, but I tend to think Talbot's going to survive the grappling, work up, get enough time on the feet, and I think he's going to win it there. But it's a good fight. Like a lot of people make fun of Talbot. I don't think he's like the next big thing, but I think he's like a decent prospect. Like he throws a ton of volume, and he can anti-grapple enough. Like, yes, the best grapplers will dominate him, but he's not fighting the best grapplers yet.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but also I feel the striking's tight enough that I feel like Simon getting like 2. If I told you Simon had got like 2 or 3 minutes of control time here, what do you make his money line in hindsight kind of a thing? Like, if you knew Simon was going to hit like 2 takedowns and turn him into like 3 minutes, like he's suddenly minus 200, isn't he? He has to be. That's how MMA works. Like, yeah. I think striking should be very competitive. And it's like Yadong, where it's like I think the striking would be competitive as fuck, but one guy has most of the grappling upside, and I think like these rounds should be very competitive, like high volume striking. Then like, one takedown can make a massive difference in that kind of fight, and I feel like you got to be on team takedown with plus 130. Like,
I conceptually agree with you. Like,
yeah,
I'm not playing minus 170 here on top. I'm not doing it. I think it's dog or pass. I'm just saying like.
And even against like Chris Rodriguez,
I don't know what the line should be because I just have like principles.
Oh, I agree. Yeah,
unproven guys against proven guys. How many times have we seen, the unproven guy just kind of turn out to like get dominated or something? I'm just saying my eyes are telling me that I tend to think Talbot's going to win, but I don't want to just trust my eyes. Like I want to trust my eyes. I want to trust like the numbers and everything, and I just don't think Talbot's proven enough to put to latest price at all.
I agree, but it's like, all right, so Simon, if Simon hadn't lost to Rodriguez, he's probably favourite here. And I feel like Rodriguez kind of owns Talbot as well, to be honest. Like,
yeah, probably, yeah.
And even against Rodriguez, like Simon got don't get me wrong, Rodriguez owns Simon in a lot of ways because like Simon can't grapple from it, it has no bottom game. But even there, like the sheer pace and physicality of Simon actually like almost pulled him back into that fight, like without at a massive like Simon almost outgassed Rodriguez, which is impressive to me.
Yeah, I kind of
like I think it's like very I think it's very mirror matchy, but I just feel like it's just like sometimes it's like when you favour somebody, you've got to like actually walk through it like mathematically. I just think that like if this is like a tight striking match, like Simon owning the takedowns means that he should be favoured, just because I feel like one solid takedown means that he's just suddenly becomes like in a tight striking fight. Like if you get that one takedown with 60 seconds left in the round, you're a massive favourite because you have the clear round against 2 over 50-50s. Like I think it's just the way the sport works.
I semi like
it's the one thing, and you can't like it's the one thing that just takes around clear. Like,
yeah, I know. I semi like the under here at plus 155, the under 2.5, just because like I think Simon could just fuck him on the ground, and I also think like there's going to be hundreds of strikes landed on the feet, and both these guys kind of hit hard. Yeah, like Simon hits sneakily hard. Like I don't know if it's going to hit. Like I'm pretty 50-50 about it, but at plus 155, I kind of like that. I just feel like I want a lot of action, and I want like a possible just like domination on the mat as well. And I think like you have both of those here. There's going to be a lot of action. They'll both be aggressive, like because I feel like Talbot's going to walk him down, and I feel like Simon will be like, all right, and he'll throw back. So the under kind of entices me a little bit. Quarantillo and Zalal, what do you think here? Classic fight.
I can see how Zalal could give him trouble because like Zalal is stupid durable, works leg kicks. I think Zalal's an underrated hitter. Like he's very bad at hurting people with actual finishes. He can actually hurt people. But on the other hand, it's just like Zalal is probably going to get doubled up on striking attempts and refuses to finish fights. So he probably should be like, I don't know, Quarantillo's aging out a bit. So I am a little bit spooked, but I just feel like Quarantillo probably wins on enthusiasm, but I could see how Zalal gets some issues. Zalal's been training with the best control grappling physical specimen in the sport. He has every day he fends for his life against a elite wrestler. So probably improving in that area, but it's just hard to take Zalal against like the pace differential.
Classic volume versus neutralizer fight here. These are somewhat like these are becoming some of the tougher fights to call, and the market's been getting them wrong. Like I think Zahabi and Basharat was an example of that, like volume and neutralizing. I think that's here. Like I've had a lot of smart people. They're all. I mean, I'll share the information. I've had a lot of smart people. They're all about Quarantillo here, and they're playing him volume and stuff, but I can't get that Gavin Tucker fight out of my head. Like a guy who was just like more skillful. Like I agree. Like on paper, Quarantillo could have gas pedaled him too, but he wasn't skilled enough to where And like if Zalal's just defending enough, like I think he's probably a more skilled fighter than Quarantillo. Like on paper, I think skill wise, wouldn't you say like maybe a little better?
Yeah, but Tucker landed 106 strikes and hit multiple takedowns, kind of thing.
Yeah,
I agree that like Quarantillo's gas tank is deeper than Tucker's, but like Zalal I just had this feeling Zalal I agree that Zalal will make it hard for Quaran to do his job, but I just feel like it's one of these things where like Zalal will make it hard and then just not do anything with that. So it's just hard because I just don't think if Zalal had more of a finishing upside, I'd probably be a bit more interested. Honestly, the under 2.5 or plus 200 does tempt me. Like it's a Quarantillo fight, you kind of got to take that number. Zalal has magical Max Griffin style anti-finishing vibes. Like he hurts people. He hurts people a lot. He doesn't convert. He is ridiculously durable himself. Like he just gets the shit beaten out. Like he almost beats superior, just on pure existing at him. I don't know. I probably go look for live Quarantillo. I get the neutralizer argument. I just think Quarantillo is just going to go forward and just going to do more, and I just can't. I just can't see Talal doing enough.
I'm probably going to pick Quarantillo to win, but I don't see all that much value at 6 out of 10. Like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like I personally don't. Like, he's minus 150. That's 6 out of 10. And I'm not confident he wins this fight 6.5, 7 out of 10. I'm really not. Like, I just feel like Zalal is skilled enough. Like, Zalal, he's been losing lately, but like, Damon Blackshear's a pretty good fighter, and he was a better fighter in that matchup. Like, he kind of beat the crap out of him late. Sean Woodson, he fought him to a close fight. Like, Woodson and Quarantillo would be a really competitive fight. Like, Taporia, whatever. And then the Sungwoo Choi fight was a bad look. That was like his worst performance. So, like, but he's also competed well against guys like on the level of Quarantillo. I think this is just going to be a close fight. I favor Zalal early. But also, like, Zalal's had good late rounds too. It's not like he gasses. Like, he was beating up Blackshear late. Taporia, I don't know if like Quarantillo is just going to easily land volume and easily gas him out. Like, I think this is going to be a competitive fight. I think Zalal has like a high floor, low ceiling type of thing. Like, I just think he's going to be competitive in most fights and never pull away. So I think this is going to be a close fight. Probably go into the scorecards too. I don't see value in Quarantillo minus 150, but I will say a lot of smart people who I know do well are on Quarantillo. So, are there any other fights you want to talk about?
Usman versus Parkin's gonna be funny. Like, Usman just randomly showed up with like an elite heavyweight minute-winning skill set against Collier. He did like
it was a good performance. It was his best performance by a mile.
Like, the guy who beat Jake Collier is like legitimately like a good heavyweight. Like, he threw body work, he went to the head, he had like gas tank to go for explosive takedowns in the third round. Like, that was legitimately impressive. It just feels like he's going to go back to Big Muhammad Usman next fight because fuck you. Like, I had Jake Collier against Usman. Usman impressed me. It was just I just don't know if he's just going to flip the switch and go back to throwing 3 strikes around. Otherwise, it's like a bunch of fun fights, but not much I'm like massively itching to bet on. Like, a bunch of them, it's just like guy who has like massive technical advantage, but is kind of a flake against doer of things, which would be fun.
Yeah, well, that's all I got. I'm gonna roll, but thanks for everyone for tuning in. We will be back next week. What's the next card?
What's the next card? Blanchfield Fury. That's not bad.
Good fight, and then we got Alan Curtis 2. Curtis knocked him out the first time, right?
Yep.
And then we got UFC 300. So cool.
Oh shit! Norman Dumont's fighting Jermaine Durandaby. God bless Jermaine Durandaby. Still exists.
And remember, she just like I played her minus 160 against Pennington back in the day, and she just dominated her. Jermaine Durandaby's good. Like, she's gonna be she can actually.
If she's on though.
Technically, yeah. But
actually, there's some funny fights in that card. I don't mind that card.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's everything. I'm gonna get going, but thanks for everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, Gugabe.
Gotcha.
Bye.